Breaking news, we're getting election results from Georgia. And here's what we can tell you. The two key players in Trump's election subversion case are on the ballot, and we are now projecting, CNN projects, that embattled Fulton County DA Fani Willis, who is leading the case against the former president, will win the Democratic primary. Nick Valencia is out front in Atlanta at Fani Willis's campaign headquarters. And Nick, this was a crucial race. Obviously, if she had lost, a totally different path in history here. Tell us what you know now. Obviously, a lot is on the line.
Yeah, Aaron, and this primary win for Fani Willis comes as zero surprise to anyone that knows what's going on here in Fulton County. It is just a primary, but well over 1 million votes are expected to be cast when it's all said and done, according to Georgia Secretary of State's office. And there's a lot of attention on it, principally because it involved Fani Willis, but also what was at stake here if she lost. The case that she's handling over the former president and 14 remaining co-defendants, she could not worry about that for a few more months. Now that she's won her primary, she's going to face off in November against GOP challenger Courtney Kramer, who is a Trump ally and an election denier. You know, talking to her allies here in the leading up to this primary day, they joke that Fani Willis could be DA here until she's 100 years old if she wanted to. And her competitor, Christian Y. Smith, was polling in the single digits, but even still, it was clear to us that she was taking no chances. We caught up with her earlier today at a polling site where she was encouraging people to come out and vote, and she got people to turn out for her. As it stands right now, this is an election year oddity. Not only was she on the ballot, but so was the presiding judge, Scott McAfee, over this case. He's expected to win, not a primary, but an election for him. He's expected to win that. He'll go on to likely continue to preside over this Trump case. And any minute now, we're expecting Fani Willis to come out and address her supporters here at her campaign headquarters. We're hearing some audible high fives and some cheers to those results here that we just projected. Aaron? All
right, Nick, thank you very much in Atlanta tonight. And as the Atlanta case with Fani Willis's victory obviously continues on the path that it's on,
Georgia had never had a prosecutorial oversight committee, and all of a sudden 14 minorities were elected to office to serve as district attorney. And now all of a sudden they need an oversight committee to look after district attorneys because they want to tell us how to prosecute and who to prosecute and where we should put our resources. Apparently we now need daddy to tell us how to do our job.
That was Rachel Maddow talking to Fulton County DA Fani Willis last night about how a new disciplinary board approved by a Republican-controlled state legislature and signed into law by Republican Governor Brian Kemp is racially motivated. Today, Willis faced a challenge to keep her job in Georgia's primary election. Polls close at 7 p.m., and according to the AP, she defeated her primary opponent handily. Willis became a target of the right, and her romantic relationship with former Fulton County Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade has been more dissected than Trump's alleged crimes. Well, tomorrow, Nathan Wade will join me right here on set for a wide-ranging discussion about that relationship, his decision to step down, and Trump's attacks on him and DA Willis. You do not want to miss it. And that is tonight's ReidOut. All In with Chris Hayes starts now.
All right, Fox News Alert polls just closing in Georgia. We're watching the Fulton County DA's race where Fani Willis is being challenged. Georgia State University law prof Anthony Michael Crease told Axios about this, that if Willis doesn't win, her successor could choose not to pursue the case or do so less vigorously. Well, her challenger has said that he would continue to pursue the case, but he questioned Willis's approach. Last night, Fani Willis made her pitch to Georgia voters on MSNBC.
I have a Democratic challenger, and I plan to win and win big. I am at a point where I need Fulton County voters to get out and vote. I need people around the country to support me, big and small, to say that we are going to be a country that still believes in the rule of law.
That's funny. Joining me now, criminal defense attorney Ashley Merchant, who argued for Willis's disqualification. Ashley, now, you've exposed Ms. Willis for the fraud that she is. Are voters going to toss her to the curb tonight or give her the equivalent of a promotion by giving her vociferous and sustained support at the polls?
You know, I hope so. I mean, it depends on what the Fulton County voters do and what they actually believe and if they actually come out and vote. But I think those who actually understand what's going on are going to vote her out.
Well, last night she leveled what mean, it seemed to me, at least, to be a racial accusation against that prosecution oversight panel. Watch this.
Georgia had never had a prosecutorial oversight committee, and all of a sudden 14 minorities were elected to office to serve as district attorney. And now all of a sudden they need an oversight committee to look after district attorneys because they want to tell us how to prosecute and who to prosecute and where we should put our resources. Apparently we now need Daddy to tell us how to do our job.
Seemed like she was reading that. Maybe I'm incorrect there. But Ashley, you say the racial charges, which clearly is what she's doing there, are wrong. Right. Why?
It's not true at all. I mean, she has got this completely wrong, and any prosecutor living in Georgia in the last 5 years would know what she is saying is not true. And the reason it's not true is this bill came about when there was a white Republican in a suburban area of Atlanta who would not leave office. He was indicted for bribery. He had a sexual harassment lawsuit. The county had to pay $300,000 for that lawsuit, and he just wouldn't leave. And the state bar wouldn't do anything, and his indictment was pending for so long. And the senator who actually introduced this prosecutor oversight bill said the process is taking too long. We can't wait for the voters. It takes too long. This is a white Republican prosecutor. This is not a racist law. Then, after he enacted that and actually presented this, the next person who was charged under this, or who they talked about being charged under this, was the prosecutor who refused to indict the folks who murdered Ahmaud Arbery, a black man. That was a very racially motivated case, and it was a white Republican who was the one who was the target of this. So this is not a racist law.
Well, she likes playing the race card. She does it a lot. She wants everyone to think she's a victim, as she's clearly the one on the hunt for Donald Trump, bias and all. Ashley, thank you. Well, Fox News Alert, Chris, the AP is reporting that the voters are keeping the load on Fani Willis. She's won the Georgia Fulton County DA Democratic primary. Obviously, she's extremely well known. So it looks like she'll get to proceed with her lawfare against Trump. Wow. All right, Chris, thank you.
About that. But first, we got breaking news tonight. The Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has survived a primary challenge from fellow Democratic opponent Christian Wise Smith, a local attorney. Willis cruised to a dominant victory. Dominant. She'll now square off against Republican challenger Courtney Kramer in November. So despite all the controversy surrounding her, it seems like Fani Willis will somehow keep her job. I say somehow not because she's prosecuting former President Donald Trump in Georgia, but because she almost derailed the case. This is a DA who admitted to an affair with her hand-picked special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, who at Willis's direction was paid nearly $700,000 over 2 years to lead the prosecution against Trump, despite being seemingly underqualified for the job. After a two-day hearing, back in February, Wade was forced to step down from the case. Now the Georgia Court of Appeals is reviewing the court's decision to even allow her to remain on the case. And yet somehow, despite nearly tanking the case with a stunning lapse of judgment, Willis has been pointing fingers, insisting the campaign against her is all about race. For months, Willis suggesting that even raising the issue about her affair was racist because Wade is the only one of the 3 special prosecutors she chose who is black.
Attack woman. I hired one white woman, a good personal friend and great lawyer, a superstar, I tell you. I hired one white man, brilliant, my friend, and a great lawyer. And I hired one black man, another superstar, a great friend, and a great lawyer. Oh Lord, they gonna be mad when I call them out on this nonsense. First thing they say, oh, she gonna play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question one?
Even after that evidentiary hearing exposed some of Willis's horrible decisions, the Fulton County DA continues to insist she's being targeted based on her race. Last night on the Rachel Maddow show, she once again sounded that note.
Georgia had never had a prosecutorial oversight committee, and all of a sudden 14 minorities were elected to office to serve as district attorney. And now all of a sudden they need an oversight committee to look after district attorneys because they want to tell us how to prosecute and who to prosecute and where we should put our resources. Most of the population has elected these minority DAs to serve them and has trusted their judgment. But apparently we now need daddy to tell us how to do our job.
Look, it's true. Republicans are trying to potentially take control over the Trump case and other prosecutions in the state from Democratic district attorneys. Criticize that if you want. But that's politically motivated, not racial. And besides, how many of those other 14 district attorneys had affairs with their hand-picked and underqualified special prosecutors? Fulton County Democrats had a chance tonight to dump all the baggage that Willis brought with her and nominate a new prosecutor who made clear, by the way, he would have continued the case against Donald Trump. So how did she survive? Joining us now is Darrell Cohn. He served as an assistant ADA in Fulton County and is now a criminal defense attorney. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Explain this to us. You're from the area. How did she survive it?
One, she didn't survive it. She absolutely destroyed her opponent.
She did.
Because Fani is a woman on a mission. Do I agree with what I consider terrible judgment? She calls it racism. Fani is a friend of mine, but I called it ignorism. Ignore the person or the people who were qualified to go ahead and handle the case. As far as her constituents are concerned, they love her. She didn't cruise. She won almost 90% of the vote, and I think in November it's going to be very similar results.
It sounds like it will be, right? It's an overwhelmingly Democratic county. It just seems stunning to me that considering all of those missteps, right, and you had another DA, Democrat, right, who was saying he was still going to go after Trump, why people wouldn't say, oh, you know, there's another choice here, and she kind of blew this entire case already, and people might hold her to account. I'm surprised by that.
Well, Dan, her opponent didn't campaign well at all. He didn't do the things necessary to rise above the problems. He didn't do anything. So she ran over him the way a tank would run over a person who was not armed.
Well, I think that explains it.
I mean,
yeah.
He was nothing. He was just a flea or a fly. Did nothing to try to enhance his opportunity to win. Now, maybe it will help him with cases in the future, but it certainly wasn't going to help him win this election. He had less than no chance.
All right. Well, that explains it. You know, not being from there, right? I'm wondering from the outside, how could this happen? And you've explained to us that the guy she was running against didn't run a particularly good campaign. It's not complicated politics. Darrell Cohn, thank you for coming on the program. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, primary elections in 4 states today: Georgia, Idaho, Oregon, and Kentucky. Let's check in with national correspondent Alana Austin for a quick update. Hey, Alana.
Hi, Rob. Good evening. Polls are now closed in Kentucky, where NewsMax can project Trump and Biden as the winners. Polls are also closed in Georgia as well in the race to replace GOP Congressman Drew Ferguson. Trump-endorsed pick Brian Jack with the lead over Mike Dugan. Also in Georgia, Fulton County DA Fani Willis and Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, who's overseeing the Trump criminal case, both have elections this evening. For more, let's bring in correspondent Carolyn Ryan, who's in Atlanta this evening.
Hi, Alana. Good to see you. Yeah, polls closed here about 30 minutes ago at 7 o'clock Eastern, and it does appear Fani Willis has won her race. Fulton County District Attorney, of course, her primary race. Her opponent, Christian Smith, she has pulled in 89% of the vote with about 27,000. Her opponent, Christian Smith, at just 11%. That is 99% of the precincts reporting. So NewsMax can project Fani Willis has won her Democratic primary. And then, of course, the judge overseeing her RICO case against former President Donald Trump, Scott McAfee. He was also on the ballot tonight for the first time. He going up against attorney Robert Patillo in a nonpartisan election there. And NewsMax can project that Judge Scott McAfee wins his race as well. He is coming in at 84%, Patillo at just 16%. So both of them, the two key central figures in the Donald Trump election interference case here in Georgia, both Fani Willis, Fulton County District Attorney, and the judge, both winning their elections pretty handily. Fulton County DA Willis will go up against Republican challenger Courtney Kramer in the general election in November. That's the latest here in Georgia. Alana, send it back to you.
Carolyn Ryan, thank you so much. Stick with NewsMax for the latest results throughout the evening. Rob, back to you.
All right, Alana, thank you so much. Rachel Maddow hoping to save Fani Willis, having the discredited Fulton County DA on MSNBC last night. Maddow trying to turn the corrupt DA into a victim. Willis's first remarks since being dismantled during her disqualification trial earlier this year when she was so arrogant there on the stand. The judge ruling that Fani could continue prosecuting Trump and co-defendants, but only if her lover, Nathan Wade, stepped down, which he did. Maddow saying the attacks on Fani are really attacks on the rule of law. Take a listen to Rachel.
This level of sustained public attack is not usually the price of entry for doing your job as a district attorney, nor should it be in a country where the rule of law is supposedly the rule. The ability of prosecutors and judges to do their jobs without fear is a fundamental test of our democracy. Fani Willis is one of the bellwethers for the rule of law in this country.
I mean, I can't believe what they're able to just spew from their lying mouths. Courtney Kramer joins us now. Republican lawyer who worked in the Trump White House is running to unseat Fani Willis as a Fulton County DA in November. And thank you so much for coming on. Calling out this obviously corrupt case apparently threatens the rule of law. That's what they're saying.
It's crazy. Like you said, you know, Fani Willis has continuously showed us that she believes that she's above the rule of law. That's been evident in her testimony on the stand. It's been evident in her actions since she was elected as DA. And it's been evident since her testimony on the stand up to today, up to last night on Rachel Maddow's show. It's unbelievable because right now we do have a DA who is above the rule of law. Look at what she's doing and look at what she's not doing. What she's not doing is prosecuting the murders and rapists in Fulton County. What she's doing is going after rappers and politicians to enhance her fame and notoriety in Fulton County.
It is something else. You know, she played the race card, of course, when she was asked about Georgia setting up an investigative committee to probe prosecutors that don't do their jobs, because we have all of these woke DAs that are destroying the quality of life in cities all throughout this country. Take a listen to her answer.
Georgia had never had a prosecutorial oversight committee, and all of a sudden 14 minorities were elected to office to serve as district attorney. And now all of a sudden they need an oversight committee to look after district attorneys because they want to tell us how to prosecute and who to prosecute and where we should put our resources.
I mean, and she as if it has anything to do with race. They have funded district attorneys to come in and basically just act as another set of defense counsel in the courtroom, and they wonder why they might need some oversight in a moment like that as these cities erode.
You know, if they were doing their jobs, if they were allocating their money properly, we wouldn't have to have a prosecutorial oversight board. That's the exact reason why our legislator did that. And so I think that if they were, like I said, they're doing their job, they're prosecuting actual criminals for actual crimes, this wouldn't be an issue. And they're playing the victim, and they're not the victims. When we have actual victims on the street in Fulton County, we have actual victims languishing in our jails and the families thereof.
Right.
If they did their job, this wouldn't be a problem.
And how do you, I mean, it's Fulton County you're going for here. This is, I mean, this is as blue as they come. How do you win in Fulton County?
You know, everyone's asking me that, and I think you're gonna start to see a shift. You've seen a shift, right?
Yeah.
You've seen a shift under the Biden administration. You're gonna see a shift in Fulton County, especially come November. People are sick. This is not a partisan issue. It's not about right versus left. It's about right versus wrong, and that's exactly what you're going to see come November. They don't feel safe in Fulton County. People are moving out. Fulton County should be an example of what a county should be doing. Instead, it's an exception, and that's unacceptable.
Okay, well, Courtney Kramer, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Good luck to you. And we can't say, you know, at NewsMax just projecting just now that Fani Willis has won her primary. So that's who you're going up against. That's not a big surprise, but good luck to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Good evening. I'm Alana Austin. Polls now closed in Kentucky, where NewsMax can project Trump and Biden as the winners. But check out that high uncommitted protest vote against Biden, just under 20%. Polls also closed in Georgia in the race to replace GOP Congressman Drew Ferguson. In House District 3, Trump endorsed pick Brian Jack with a commanding lead. Also in the Peach State, Fulton County DA Fani Willis is the projected winner in the DA Democrat primary. Well, for more on that, let's bring in correspondent Carolyn Ryan, who's in Atlanta this evening. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Alana. Within 30 minutes of the polls closing, NewsMax called the race for Fani Willis and also for the judge overseeing her RICO case against Donald Trump. That's Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, both of them crushing their opponents in tonight's primary. In fact, at last check, Willis had 90% of the vote. Of course, her 83% of the vote to Judge McAfee as well. And Alana, we'll send it back to you.
Carolyn Ryan, thank you. Stick with NewsMax for the latest results throughout the evening. Good evening. I'm Alana Austin. We're tracking the special election in California's 20th district to fill former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's vacant seat between Trump-endorsed State Assemblyman Vince Fong and Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreaux. Polls closed in Georgia, where Fani Willis, the district attorney in Fulton County, is the projected winner in the DA Democrat primary there. Well, for more on that, let's bring in correspondent Carolyn Ryan, who's in Atlanta this evening. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Alana. Yeah, Fani Willis just crushed her opponent in tonight's primary. As expected, she got about 90% of the vote. And, you know, she has really remained defiant despite the sex scandal that has really derailed her RICO case against Donald Trump. In fact, her now former lover and prosecutor Nathan Wade, he is at her victory party as we speak, which will surely have people talking. She will now go on to face Republican Courtney Kramer in November to try to hang on to her seat as the DA in Fulton County. Now, the judge overseeing the Trump case, Judge Scott McAfee, he also won his primary tonight. He beat civil rights attorney and Atlanta radio host Robert Patillo with 83% of the vote, and both races, Alana, were called within 30 minutes of polls closing. Alana, back to you.
Carolyn Ryan, thank you. Stick with NewsMax for the latest results throughout the evening.